Hello. Many players picked the game up on pre-order and either set the game to the side or refunded it due to the issues the game had at launch and for a while after. So, is it time to pick the game back up? Or if you've not yet bought it, should you? To dive into that answer, we have to go over exactly what is and isn't Cyberpunk 2077. With the new Netflix series, Cyberpunk Edgerunner, there has been quite a bit of interest in the Cyberpunk 2077 game. CD Projekt Red has made a lot of improvements to the game over the years, and the game does feel a bit more polished and finished. There is a DLC just around the corner that will add new content and a new area to the city, adding more quests and items to the game. Cyberpunk is a tabletop game, among other things, and has a following. Now, as someone who is inexperienced with Cyberpunk outside of 2077, I have to defer to others. Supposedly, Cyberpunk 2077 is nothing like the tabletop game, and let a lot of Cyberpunk fans down, causing CD Projekt Red to lose out on that niche. So now we know not to expect Cyberpunk 2077 to be like Cyberpunk, and we can just look at it as a standalone game and see if it's worth playing. If you have played the Witcher games, you will notice Cyberpunk 2077 lets you play through the game with choices similar to The Witcher. Cyberpunk 2077 takes you through the story of V, letting you alter some of the story with choices. It starts out with minor choice of your background, which lets you play through one of 3 beginnings that all merge into the same story. Depending on your starting background, you could get slightly different options in some conversations. Throughout the game, you'll have options to make choices in conversations which can affect some outcomes. Most of these choices have minor impact on the overall game, though some can alter the ending of the game. The consequences are usually noticeable right away in the form of certain characters' deaths, rewards, and so on. Some you have to wait until later in the game to see the outcome, others leave you wondering whatever did happen. The choice system really isn't that bad though, considering what all the game contains, but choices are not as impactful as one might hope, as most outcomes are just slight variants to keep V's story on track. This in turn makes the game less replayable. In terms of replayability, you have to play through the background story every time, and then you have to play through the story that ends up with Johnny in your head. This takes quite some time and is tedious. After playing through the story once, we should have an option to skip straight to the Johnny part and get whatever items we have found in previous playthroughs. And while that sounds like it could be complicated to code, it really isn't. You can use arrays to hold unlocks, and when you get an item that unlocks a tag or a piece of code that gets you stored in an array, saved to your profile. I feel like a lot of players were hoping for a more open world feel to the game, unless I have to go down this specific path. While Witcher is the same way, where you have to go down a path, it feels more open world than Cyberpunk, and the choices in The Witcher do feel more impactful. There is, however, quite a lot you can do in the game, and story-wise, it is a pretty decent game. Edgerunner is a new Netflix series that captures the spirit of Cyberpunk 2077. This is increasing the interest in the game. Let us know in the comments below if you've seen Edgerunners or not, and did you like it? Now, one of my big frustrations with the game is the nudity filter that you can turn on. It doesn't work on everything. It can cause issues when streaming. Along with all the bugs the game had at the start, I just set Cyberpunk to the side and focused on other games for Camway Gaming. I plan on running through some playthroughs again with Cyberpunk, though not streaming this time to be safe. We can do premieres so that we can still chat though. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. There are a lot of items and quests to keep you hunting and playing for quite a while. A lot of these quests are well written, and there are a few romances in the game. Some of these romances will only work if you're male or female though, which really feels like a way of trying to force replayability more than anything. CD Projekt Red has made a system called Red Mod to install and use mods for Cyberpunk 2077. It can be downloaded as a DLC on GOG, Steam, and Epic. There may also be a link on their main website if you have the game in any other way than the first 3 options. We can go over how to get the Red Mod and use it in future videos, so make sure to subscribe. With CD Projekt Red adding modding support and about to release a new DLC for the game along with all the fixes they have made, Cyberpunk has quite a bit to offer as a standalone game. Once the new DLC drops, there is not supposed to be any more new content though, which is where the modding comes in. With mods, you can get a whole new experience, and Cyberpunk can become replayable. CD Projekt Red is also supposed to be adding a plus playthrough, letting you keep all of your items for your next playthrough, making the game less of a grind to replay, which will be nice. One downside to the game is that you are stuck in first-person view. There is a mod that gets around this, but the animators cut corners since you wouldn't see the animations anyway, so your character looks weird in third-person view. So if you have a copy you've been sitting on, jump back in and give the game another shot. If you do not have the game, well, the price may or may not be right for you. As it stands without mods, or the new DLC and the plus playthrough of the game, you only get maybe 60 to 70 hours of gameplay. You may want to wait for a sale if that's not enough gameplay for the buck. Overall though, if you're not expecting the game to represent the Cyberpunk tabletop game, it is a very decent standalone game with great characters and a great story. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.